Hey guys, welcome to another episode of RHINOjoe Outdoors, and on today's episode I'm going to discuss putting this Wilderness Systems through-haul wiring kit on my new Native Slayer Max 12.5, and stay tuned. Hey guys, so if this is your first time here, my name is Ryan. I'm the host of RHINOjoe Outdoors, and I love to get outside, do something awesome. And as always, I tell you to take somebody with you if you get a chance, but I recently got this new kayak, and I've been trying to rig it up. I've got an older fish finder, but I'm hoping to eventually upgrade, but I can reuse these fittings. But the kit that I got is the Wilderness Systems through-haul kit. And it comes with all the things, the accessories and everything, so you can actually have two different through-haul adapters, which is perfect for this kayak. So let's get to it. Alright, so first of all, I'm actually going to move this drive out of the way because it'll help clear up some space so y'all can see what's going on. Alright, so as you can see here, I've actually already installed one of these fittings. And I actually wasn't going to do a video on this, but I made a stupid mistake, and I'm going to get into that in a little bit. I use this sacrificial panel here that can be used for switches or whatever. But the key to this is there's a certain piece on this, and I will show you, and that is this ring. This ring actually goes on the back side of that and tightens down, and that's what gives you a seal, and you have to make sure to put that on as you're wiring it. So I actually did that one, and I've got my other one, and I've got my other one right here, and whenever I went to put this one on, obviously can't put the ring on, so I'm going to have to redo it. So I'm going to talk through the right process to do this, so then you don't end up having to go back and redo all your stuff. So I'm going to take that one out. As you can see, I've already drilled my holes here, and I will discuss in a minute the size of everything, but all the instructions come with the size of the hole, and I just used a basic hole saw kit to do this. This is a little basic set from nothing expensive, just from Harbor Freight, to fill out those holes. But let me take everything back apart and then we will get started. Alright y'all, so as you can see, I went ahead and dismantled everything. I've got my two different wires here, but I'm actually going to have to route them back through the hole. But I want to show you all the main parts of this kit. You've got the actual plastic through-haul adapter piece, and as you can see, it's got a slit in the side. But the key parts to this are this part. This is a little gasket here. This does not have a slit in it, obviously, because it's a gasket. And then this ring here doesn't have a slit in it. So you've got to pre-install these to make sure that you don't miss it like I did and then have to go back and redo the whole thing again. Aside from that, it's got these little rubber pieces, and it's got different kinds. So the one that I'm using is the little 2-hole, and I use the I'm going to use the smaller one that's going to be a lot tighter of a fit right here. And then there's another one that is another 2-hole that is a little bit bigger that I'm going to use actually inside that little tank well where the battery goes. But it's also got like a single opening one. And a couple different ones to use based on your needs. So I'm going to get these wires put back through this hole and make sure that we get everything put in right this time. Alright, so we're back up here at the front of the kayak. I've got the wires pulled all the way out, and the key thing is with this is that those certain pieces you have to put on in order. So imagine that you were here, you drilled your hole here, and I'm gonna mark or put the size of that hole up on the screen now, and then you're ready to install. So I've got my transducer installed, I've got all my wires together. So the first thing I'm gonna put on is this little rubber O-ring, and I'm gonna slide that over my wires and get it down so it's on there. And then I am going to put my wires through my hole here, and I've got this access hatch right here so I can pull through. And then I need to install the backing plate, which is that circular backing plate, over both of my wires, and I'm going to slide it down. So I'm going to pull my wires through until I feel like this battery wire, the power wire, is the main one that I don't want to pull all the way through. And then you've got all this extra transducer cable. So now that's where your option is. Option one, you roll it up and keep it in this little hatch, or you could actually pull it through, make this hatch look a little bit neater, and then have it actually inside the body of the kayak. But since I got those pieces on, I'm actually going to go ahead and feed them through, and then we're going to go back to the other side where it comes out next to the fish finder. So I'm just kind of reaching down in here, trying to see if I shoved them back far enough. Got one of them. There we go. Got it. So I got my wires through. So now, kind of the same concept though. I've got this through hole plate that I've already got drilled out, but what I have to make sure I do is that I don't miss any of these parts. So I'm gonna guess, kind of guess the distance that I'm gonna want, to run down to my fish finder. So I'm thinking about like right there is about right. So the first thing I'm gonna put on this end is this backing plate, okay? And then I've got the through hole, or the sacrificial plate here, that you can actually order more of these through Native if you need them. Kind of like readjust here. I just want to make sure that I have plenty of space if I need to move my fish finder up or down. But now that I'm at this point, I need to put on my rubber gasket. And then that's where we're going to get to start putting on this piece, which is your double hole adapter here. And it's got slits on either side, so you just basically kind of like slide it on there, slide it on there. You just kind of push your wires down in there, and it's pretty tight, but what I want to make sure of is that my wires are pretty close to the right length, because that's actually what's stopping my wires. So now that I've got that piece in there, I can take, this is like the actual socket, or the like threaded side. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the threaded side, I'm going to slide it over my wires using that slit, and then I'm going to push it up into the fitting. So it's got this little indentation on it right here, and I'm just going to start pushing that up through. And it slides really tight. but you want that to be pushed all the way up in there. Alright. So I got it pushed all the way up in there. And now that that's pushed all the way up in there, I'm gonna take this gasket that I'd already put on there, and I'm gonna put it up next to the head of this thing. And me personally, I just like the look of having that grooved side with that indentation pointing down. I just think it looks better personally. It's personal preference. And then I'm going to take this nut that I'd already put on, and I'm going to start threading it onto this piece, the threaded piece. So we'll get that started. Alright, so I'm going to finish tightening it down. It's got these two little tabs on it which kind of help with turning it. And, you know, I'm going to make it decently tight, but you don't have to be Hulkamania on that. And now that I've got that reinstalled, I'm going to use some electrical tape and tape these two wires together, and then that'll lead back to the fish finder. And based on your fish finder and which brand you have is how that's going to be set up. So I'm not going to go into that. That'll be in your instruction manual for your fish finder. But I am going to go ahead and I'm going to screw this plate back into the side of this Native Slayer Max. Alright, so we finished the back part, so now I'm just going to kind of pull up the slack here. And me personally, my plan is to put all this extra transducer wire down into the hull to try to clean up this installation here and just make it look a little bit nicer. But the one thing you do have to remember is you have to make sure that your nut that's on the back here, you've got to make sure that it stays up, because you don't want it finding its way back down through the hull. So I'm actually holding this that back plate, that back nut, I'm actually holding it here to make sure it doesn't go anywhere as I'm pushing this wire through. And alright, so now that I've got that through there, what I'm going to do is the same thing. I've got my little piece here with the two holes, which is like the protective gasket. I'm going to go ahead and pre-separate these sides. That way that it makes it a little bit easier to get these wires through. And I'm going to pull up my slack here, and we're going to go ahead and slide this wire, which is the power wire, down that side. And then we got our transducer cable. I'm going to slide it through that slit on the other side. And so now I've got those installed. Same thing, I've got my piece here. Try and get better light. So I got my piece here. it's got the slit in it, so I'm going to slide that slit over my 2 wires, and then I'm going to do the same thing I did before. I'm going to start pushing up that rubber piece from the back until we get it all the way in there. So I'm actually using my finger and I'm pushing down in here on the back of that fitting. I'm sure if you, I don't know, you could probably put some Dawn or something on the back of that if you were having trouble, just to make it slide a little bit easier. I don't really need to. Then, now that I got that installed, I'm going to pull this little gasket up so that it's up near the head of this thing, and then I'm going to push it into the kayak, and then I'm going to thread on the back side of this, just like I did on the other end, this nut. Alright, there we go. Took me a second to get it threaded on there. This would be very difficult without being able to see. So obviously this is a little bit more of a confined space, so threading this on here is a little bit more difficult, but I'm not as concerned with water intrusion on this one since it's actually underneath of this hatch here when it's closed. The rest of this cable down here that's down in the kayak, I'm going to gather up and just roll it up and put a zip tie on it just to try to keep things tidy. And that's about it, folks. So guys, I really hope this helps you out. If you are installing this through-haul kit, just make sure you do it in the right steps so you don't end up like me and having to take some of it back apart and redoing it, because it kind of sucks. But as always guys, I appreciate you coming by. Hopefully this video helped you out, and hopefully you guys are staying warm this winter. And if it's not winter when you're watching this, I hope you all get out and do some fishing. As always, get outside, do something awesome. If you get a chance, take somebody with you, and I'll see you guys in the next video.